Yo, 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 yo. This is your boy Professor Pivot back in the building, trying to get active in these charts, getting ready to break down and do my weekend analysis. The last few weeks have been going very well, very well, very well. Last few weeks have been very excited about the market. I don't know if it's just the time of the year it is, or if it's just analyzing the market is getting better and better every day. But one of the two, we getting active in these markets and things are playing out well for us. So this weekend, just like every other weekend, I'm going to sit back, analyze these charts I have already gone through and made my decisions on where I think the markets are going. What I'm about to do with this video is just kind of break down what I've already seen in outline and just kind of give it to y'all like that, straight raw, straight cut, uncut, no editing. So you had to go back and take that out. Yeah, but yeah. So for the most part, what we're looking at this week, obviously, AUD USD. We got Bitcoin in there. Currently sitting in position on Bitcoin right now. We got GJ in there. I have not analyzed DXY, GU, NUD, NZD, USD, USD, JPY. And this week, we added back gold and then SPX 500 for something we added gold back just to see what we potentially could be going on gold now that we see some more structure building up. And then XPX, we got some new people coming into the Telegram group who trades or looks at XPX. So now I'm about to get back active on XPX and just outlining it, look and see where I think the market's going to go. Light it bright, baby. Bright, just a little bit. Smooth. All right, so starting off with AUD USD. Oh, and before we go through that, this is FOREX education. This is of my own opinion. This is not an analysis for you to go in and get active within the markets. If you see the way that I outline and analyze my charts lines up and matches with what you got on your charts, then get active based off of that. But this is just my outline and preview of what I think the market is going to do, where I think the market is going. So I'm make some decisions based off that. So with that being said, here we go. Looking at AU, looking at AU. Starting off with AU, as we look at the weekly time frame overall, what we can see is price action is bearish. Or the structure is bearish, but overall retracing on the lower time frames. As we can see, we closed above this first resistance here, and then now we're reacting currently from the second resistance based off the weekly time frame. And as you go down to the lower time frames, you just build that potential psychology, build that mindset, that trade idea based off what you see from the higher time frames on down. So as we come to the weekly right here, I see a price or a big bullish candle at the end of a downtrend for the most part on the weekly time frame. Then as I go down to the daily, what I can see is choppy price action back over here looking left. And as we get to the top over here, price action is kind of starting to sort of exhaust. And I say it's starting to sort of exhaust simply because with these candles right over here, you got big bullish, somewhat big bullish, kind of look like it kind of rejected right over here. But the next candle, very big bullish, with a little wick on the end, then you produce a bearish candle. So within these three bullish candles, no bearish candles. So that's why I say it looks like it's kind of starting to exhaust towards the top end of it. You add the analysis. Um, for the most part, I don't really necessarily, I know overall price action over here is bullish. So I wouldn't be necessarily looking left to say, okay, well, this is what price action is going to, simply because price action now is price action now is bullish, but from the higher time frame, from the weekly time frame, this price action here, this level right up here is what sends you into the low. So overall, theoretically, this is my daily high zone, this is my daily low zone, but I have them marked up from the weekly time frame. And as you go down to the 4-hour time frame, which is what I basically use as price action is now going bullish, to identify where my major zones are and where I potentially could take a trade from. But just looking back at last week's trade idea, this is where price action opened. So coming from last week's price action analysis, we were looking for to see if price action was going to continue bullish or if we were going to expect this kind of downtrend we had coming down here and continue bearish. As we can see, price action opened bullish, came and gave you a retracement, then got up out of there to the top side. So coming into this week's price action analysis, what we see on AU is when you blink the chart on the 4-hour level, we see price action came up here and gave a big rejection level. So that is why we have this area here identified as a 4-hour rejection. And then we're going to say if this is the high point, then this is the low point here on the 4-hour chart to where price action came from that produced this high point area. Necessarily, we can say, why didn't we take it from here? Well, if you take price action from this low point and push up, we didn't break the high just yet. We kind of broke the high here, retraced, and then gave you the high. Where you say, why don't you take this price action as the 4H low? Well, you could, but necessarily, you have a zone right beneath it. So overall, when I see price action like this, I would usually jump out to the higher time frame to actually analyze it. So this would be my low point in the area, and then back up in here would be a high point. So when you go down to the 4H, theoretically, you're still in those same areas as I have it marked up here, as this being my 4H support, my 4H resistance. And as you go into the 1-hour time frame, what we can see here, if price action is going to continue bullish, we need to see how it reacts into the zone right here on the 15-minute. That is a resistance on the 15-minute, this red outline area here. And as we can see, as price action has been pushing bullishly for the past previous week, here we're starting to give you some equal lows, building up liquidity up under these areas. So we could potentially see price action open up this week, come down and grab the liquidity from these areas before pushing up. Or if we are going to continue bearish, we could see price action close below this level and build a resistance below this level and then continue back down to this 4-hour level right down here. So overall, price action last week was bullish. So potentially we could be looking for the buy setups going into price action this week. But what I'll be looking for or anticipating is waiting for a bump down to the 15-minute. And what I would see is I would wait to see if price action opens bullishly. Well, if it does, then I want to see what price action does here. If it comes into this zone and it starts to build candles like this, but right over here, failing to break above this area, then potentially I'll be looking for a short coming from this area back into this area, expecting price action to break back through this area here and then retest this 1-hour support. If not, I would sit back and wait to see if price action closes above, and then start to produce bullish structure that says, okay, well, we might be ready to break above this 4-hour support here on the higher time frames to go and give you that new higher high, and eventually maybe even retest that daily high zone area up there. I don't think all that's gonna happen tonight, Asian session, but sort of looking for, like I said, the weekend analysis of where I think the price could go for the week, and that's where we at with it on AU now. If price action just come open and smash through bearishly, then that's what it is. You see price action break through your first support down on the 15-minute. 15-minute is not a really strong confirmation level, but as you come back to the 1-hour, that kind of gives you insight to say, okay, we broke through that 15-minute level. Potentially, we are getting ready to come back to retest that 1-hour support level. And then if we break through there, you own it back down to the 4-hour level that sent you into the high. So a major deep retracement back into that 4-hour level. So yeah, that's just what I'll be looking for and what I'll be trying to identify as price action opens up here in a couple hours. Pushing over to Bitcoin. Funky. I missed this entry right down here. I took another entry right up here, and yeah, a little bit. I got stops at 600, so below this candle here, which I'm not sure if we're gonna get up out of there and get back to the top side. Looking at it on the 15-minute, what you had was so I had price action back to here. If you hit that bar replay real quick, I know we're on the weekend analysis, but if you hit that bar replay real quick, this is what I was looking at. If price action closed above this level, then potentially we could have a retracement back down here, then scoot back out to the top side. But if we start to respect this resistance we have on the 15-minute, then we could come back down, give you a new lower high on the 15-minute, then break through that 1-hour support. But when you hit the fast forward mode bar replay, we closed above, came back, retested here, and then got back up to the top side here. So it's kind of wrong on how we got up there, but overall we closed above and we still got up there. So that's overall what I was looking for. And you close to get back where we are now. We actually tapped into that lever and reacted bearishly. We did break structure on the 15-minute, so overall we're now kind of shifting back bearish. So that's why I said my trade that I'm in right now stops at 600. So right down here, potentially we can see price might tap that before it comes back down to this level and then gets back to the top side. So right here, as you can see, high, higher, low. With this price action coming from here, this would be your high, higher, low, new high on the 15-minute. Price action closed below that level, failed to create new high. So potentially you got a high, low, lower high going to create that new lower low on the 15-minute on Bitcoin. So overall, yeah, that's what I'm looking at on Bitcoin to see if we continue to go higher. Over on GJ, we jump back out to the weekly and we try to build our story on GJ. What we see is prices overall consolidating on the weekly time frame. If you go back in price action from the past, you see price action is creating higher highs and higher lows. Right over here, you got the last lower high, the last higher low that gave you the high right up here, and then from there you just kind of chopped within that consolidation range on the daily. What you can kind of see is within that consolidation range coming from the weekly, we are currently bearish on the daily time frame. So when you bring the analysis back, this was the last potential higher low before price pushed into the highs right over here. So that's why I have the daily range. I don't like the way this is out. I have this analyzed here simply because I know overall it's ranging. So potentially on GJ, necessarily you want to wait for price action to break above these highs or these lows out here before you try to trade this market. If you know how to trade a consolidated market, then you will want to proceed. But looking at this overall, you're like, nah. Yeah, it is big bearish, but you got supports over here. You got resistance here. You got resistance here, resistance there, support right down here. So there are some big ranges within this consolidation zone, but you have to know how to get active within that zone. And hold on one second. 74. Getting ready to cutting back on some trailing stops on Bitcoin. You keep dropping down, let it be what it is, and then catch it from the bottom. All right, but over GJ, like I was saying, overall consolidating from the weekly time frame on daily time frame, you're bearish on the 4H. What we have here, since I don't like the way the daily zones are marked, simply because they're outlining a big consolidated market. What we can see on the 4H is price action was bullish from the last 1, 2, including last week's price action. We were bullish for the previous 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks somewhat. But sometime during last week, the 21st, see what that date was. On last Thursday, we shifted the trend bearish here on 21st. As you can see, backing over here, you're making higher highs and higher lows. And once you got right here on the 21st, price action closed below that last support level that gave you the new high and created a low. Nowhere, it didn't come anywhere near creating a new high. And then as you can see, the market dropped from there. So based on the 4-hour, I would have a 4-hour high or lower high identified up here, but down here you haven't closed bullish just yet. And I can look left and kind of identify some of these equal lows. So price action might push completely through these levels before you get that bullish push to kind of identify that 4-hour lower low. But on the 1-hour, you can prematurely mark that lower high that gave you a new lower low because you do have that bullish close with the candle. So as this is starting to pull back, what I would do is these are the highs that broke through structures looking left. So I would either pull out the fibs or I would identify the 1-hour support levels within this 4-hour range to say, okay, well, price action either is going to pull back here first and then drop, or it's going to pull back deeper and come back to this 1-hour level before dropping. So what I want to see is how price action opens up tonight and respects this level first. If it starts to drop from here, then I would start to frame a bearish setup for the week and looking for price action to come back down to these zones that I have identified from the higher time frames. Let's see if we can put some prices on these for all the people in the back. So potentially, if we close below here, look for price action to come back down to this 161 level. And then if it, whatever determining what it does right here, potentially we could come all the way back down to this 160 level. Yeah, within this higher time frame consolidation. So overall, that's what I'll be looking for on GJ. If we're looking to see if we're going to resume back bullish, I would have to make a determination based off of 1 hour to see price action close back above here. And even then, it would be shaky simply because price action is closing through bearish structures looking left. Yeah, so overall, on the weekly time frame down on GJ, consolidating. Daily is bearish. 4-hour is bearish, just created a new low. You would expect or anticipate a lower high to push the market lower. But on the lower time frames, what you can see is we are already pulling back. So this could be the first level we retrace to before melting again, or we could do a deeper retracement back into the level where it came from. Yeah, before it goes back bearish. But this is going to take a little bit of time. So yeah, be patient with GJ this week. Don't rush into anything. Definitely have your zones marked up and even set alerts. If I wanted to trade GJ, if I thought it was going to go back bullish, what I would do is potentially put a alert right over here above this level, letting me know that price action has pushed and potentially getting ready to close above that level, and potentially could see a retracement and potentially have a trade idea back into that level. But that's only if it sets up that way. You can't really confirm if that's going to set up for you or potentially play out 64 pip range until price action closes above this first 1 hour resistance. So that's how we'll be looking at it from the top side or from the buy side, and then from the downside, I will definitely wait for a close below this level, retracing to that level, and then potentially have sales back into this 161 level. So yeah, like I said, it is a consolidated market from the higher time frames. Overall, I will start to develop or start to analyze and start to put together or formulate my trend from the 4 hour time frame to try to analyze and see where I think the trend is going. If we still thought we were still bullish, potentially you could see which level based off of a fib level, retracing back to the downside, what GJ was going to do. But, at that point, you're still at a waiting game because you're right at the 50% level. It could close like it would right there to give you a bullish setup and push back to the high. So overall, it is a waiting game. Definitely sit back and see what the market does as it opens. Pushing down the GU. Let's see what we had on GU on the weekly. On the weekly, we have big bearish structure, big bearish structure currently retracing on the lower time frames. On the daily, how does it look? On the daily, we got this level potentially right up here that pushed you all the way into the lows. This level here did create a new low and then lower high. So let's see how we drew it up. Yeah, we took it from right up there. So what we can see on the daily is this level here pushed you into the lows, and then this level here pushed you back into the high. So that would be our daily high and our daily low. Skipping over to the 4 hour. Reset here. Let's see. Coming back from last week analysis, we had the weekly open. We were looking to see if price action was going to continue bullish and push us back into these daily highs with last week's price action. Last week's price action did actually reach into that level, and now we're seeing the reaction coming from that level. So how I would read it based off of structure. Okay, so we had the high, higher low. We pushed into that level now. What I look for within the market to determine if we're going to continue to go back bearish is the reaction from this level. Does it start to create bearish structure, meaning lower lows and lower highs, pulling away from that zone and start to close below structure looking left? And as you can see from the 4 hour time frame, what you had was this very corrective, choppy push, pull back motion action back down into this level. But what you can see is price action never did really close below that level here. And on the lower time frame, you will see that we wicked through that level. But ultimately, these bars, these candles, they closed above the support level right here. So ultimately, in my book, we're still bullish. So on the 1 hour time frame, what I would do is try to, like I said, we identified on GJ, on GU, on the lower time frames. What you see is a consolidated, is stuck within a consolidation zone. What we got here? Let's see, we got a 4 hour high with 4 hour low. So this is a low area that pushed you into the highs. So what I would look for here is this is the first. These highs right up here gave you this 1 hour support here. So I would look to see how price action reacted from this first 15-minute support right now, or resistance right down here, and then make a determination based on that. Because if we can close above this level and continue to produce higher highs and higher lows, then you can potentially start to frame a long setup above these continuation buy zones. And then if price action comes and opens up bearishly and started to close below this 1 hour support, I would look to see how it reacts when it got back down to the 4 hour support, and then potentially as that price action will be breaking out of this consolidation zone right here, I'll be looking for a short setup down into these bearish continuation zones. So overall, just like everybody else, it is a waiting game at the weekly open, or weekly open, simply because price action isn't moving. So you can come up with all type of scenarios, be like, oh yeah, price going up, price going down, price going to do 3 circles and turn around the circle, and then it's gonna come back. Nah, you just gotta wait and see. For the most part, on the weekend analysis, what you're looking for is to see, okay, so if price come up and respect this red zone I got outlined right here, what am I going to do at that point in time? Well, for me, the way I identify the charts and the way I read them, say, okay, well, this was the last lower high that pushed price action into the lows based off the 15-minute chart. If we're starting to close above here now I want to see price. I want to see how far price action will push above before it retraces, and then potentially catch a long trade or a long position. Couldn't even tell you what I would target at this point, because we would be closing above highs, looking left, but potentially all the way back up here, based off of the 15-minute. This would be a level I would look to see once we close above here, to see if price action would be reacting, pushing back into. And that's how I would just play it from there. Pushing over NZD USD, kicking out to the weekly, same thing on everything. Start to build that idea. Big bearish retracing on the lower time frames. Big bearish on the daily, retracing on the lower time frames, on the 4-hour, as we start to bring back the analysis. What we can see is we got that daily high, that daily low, and we're retracing on the lower time frames. We got a 4-hour high right over here, 4-hour low right over here. Let's see if we can put some respect on them. So right around that 62,700 level, then right around 61,400 level, we got support on the 4-hour time frame, and then we got the 1-hour resistance and 1-hour supports. So in order to be able to identify, in my book, if this candle right here was a fake out overall, it looks like a rejection of the high of the top side, is a small bullish candle with a long bullish wick. In my eyes, that is a rejection. But in order for me to identify if this move on the lower time frame was a pump fake or not, I would need to see price action close back above this level to determine if we're going to continue bullish, and to determine if this move was a pump fake or not. If we can't get back above that level, then what we will see is price action respecting this 1-hour resistance, this 4-hour resistance right up here, and then to see if price action resumes to continue to make lower lows and lower highs, coming back into some of this 1-hour support or this 4-hour support right here. So overall, NZD on the higher time frames is pushing bearish. We have retraced to about a 50% level, I want to say. Yeah, we've retraced to the 50% level and closed above. So potentially we could continue to see price action push bullish on the lower time frames. It is bullish. So definitely would have my eyes to see, okay, well, are we coming back down to this 1-hour support, or are we coming back above to confirm that this move was not a fake out? It was just a new high retracement to now push the market higher to give you a new higher high. So overall, lower time frame bias bullish on the NZD USD. Yeah, I don't trade NZD USD, so it's kind of hard to tell if this is going to continue bullishly, because that's how it moves, or if this is just a retracement of this big move to the downside from the higher time frames. Pretty much the same thing over to UJ. Kicking out to that weekly, and what we can see from the weekly is, delete this field right here. Reset these charts. What we can see from the weekly is price action has been pushing bullishly for the last what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. And then last week we finally gave a bearish reaction. So as you bump down to the daily time frame, you see how those candles start to break down and how they look for price action to push bullish for the last 7 weeks. This is what the candle price action had to do to get up there. And then this is last week, bearish candle close here. First thing I will identify is price action closing below the daily structure that pushed you into the highs. So when I bring the analysis back, I'll have the outline price action close below. So with this type of price action closing below here, I would now kind of, for the most part, stick to my 4-hour structure until price action gave a bearish close on the daily to re-identify the daily highs and lows. But on the 4-hour, you kind of can, start to create that picture of price action closing and creating that new lower low, with this being the lower high right up here, closing through that daily level. So Like I said, the next thing I would look for to see is how far this price action retrace before potentially continuing bearish, or if we close above this lower high on the 4H that sent us into the lows, we could potentially be resuming back bullish within the market. And what I can see when we zoom out, we have some equal lows right over here. So price action could dip back down here, grab all the liquidity that's resting within these levels, and then push back bullish, or it could just come back here and then just keep dropping bearish, like support being right down here, and then so on and so forth. So higher time frames overall on UJ is bullish, currently retracing on the daily. What we're looking to see is where does price action find a support before it holds up and potentially go back bullish, or if we're getting ready to see a trend reversal because we aren't able to break above lower time frame, lower highs to push us back bullish. So overall, the first level, what I would look for on UJ, I would potentially delete, or no, I would keep this because based off various continuation zones, what we will look for in the lower time frame is evidence of price action stalling out. Once we push back into this level, we actually can tighten this level up. So to say, if price action on the lower time frames, meaning the 1 hour from this point, pushes back into this level and exhausts, then we potentially take shorts back into this 4 hour low. But since this is the high that broke through the structure, we can potentially drop 8 fibs and see where that 50% lines up. So we potentially looking for this area right up in here before taking it back lower, or to see if price action closes above and see if it goes back higher. So yeah, it's going to be a lot to analyze once the market actually opens and shows us where it actually wants to go. And right here we would have weekly open and so on and so forth. I feel like by identifying my weekly openings, what I can see is what price action has been doing in the past. And from the past 2 weeks, will be 3 weeks now. If you count last week, we were bullish. We started to pull back. We fell in to create new highs. So now this week potentially could be a bearish week, breaking through supports that we created from the previous week's bullish price action. So that's why I kind of, identify those weekly opens. It kind of just helped me build that story to keep in the back of my mind and say, okay, are we going to continue bullish or are we going to continue bearish? Well, if we're going to continue bullish, these are the things I need to see: closing above my bearish continuation zone, closing above my 50% zone, and actually producing new highs coming from this low right down here. So those are the things I look out for. It just helps me formulate a trade, helps me get the best trade idea I feel like for me, and then I'll go from there. Pushing over to gold. Gold was very hard to analyze on the higher time frames, simply because when you look here, this price action is really, really, really choppy. So when it's like that, I like to go to a higher time frame, the one that is really choppy on, and then kind of analyze from there. So based off my daily time frame, I got the high that pushed us into lows right down here. When you bring back the analysis, you'll see the high and then the low identified in gray, so that when you come down to the daily, you don't really have to worry about so much the chop. You just have to remember in the back of your mind, hey, I analyzed gold last time, it was from a weekly perspective as far as the range, meaning that the ranges on the smaller time frames will be a lot bigger. But pushing down, we created from this lower high, we created a lower low. Daily range here is huge. On the 4H, what we're starting to see or start to build up is price action is bearish, was bearish, currently bearish, and currently retracing on the lower time frames. We did end up really pushing through that daily support and creating a 4 hour support right down here into this monthly support. And we were getting a big bullish reaction back into the previous 4 hour support that pushed us into the lows. Now, so when we go down to the lower time frames, like I said, on all the other charts, we look for areas where price action builds a support to push price higher, or if it runs into a resistance to push price lower. But looking at gold structure, I don't trade gold at all. I can't tell you last time I took a gold trade. But this is how I would look. These are the things I would look for if I was to trade gold, and these are the levels and how potentially we get active. Since we push into this 1 hour resistance and it came down to this level, I see a support here holding up on the 15 minutes. So potentially I'd want to see how price action reacts coming from this 15-minute support. If we go and we push above this 1 hour resistance, and potentially we could be coming back into this 4 hour support level here and retesting the highs there. If not, then potentially pretty much the same analysis to the downside comes here, respects this 4 hour resistance or this 1 hour resistance and then come back down and retest this 1 hour support. But it all depends on how price action opens up and plays out. But for the most part, those are my levels. And that's why I'll be looking to get active from based off of gold structure currently on the weekend. Kicking over to SPX. Now, looking at SPX, I haven't traded or looked at SPX in a long time. Even so, this is the way I was doing my chart analysis back then to see where I thought SPX was going. And as you can see, this is like April of, let me see, price would have been right here. So this is at least August 3rd of 2020. At the most, November 2nd of 2020. So I don't analyze using these annotations anymore. But what I can see is based off the weekly price action was big bullish, and now it's starting to create bearish structure on the weekly time frame. And from the last lower high that created a new lower low, price action has closed above the 50% area of. From the last lower high that created the lower low, price action has closed above the 50% area, and it's continuing to push bullish. So what I would do is delete all of this, and what I would do is go down to the daily time frame and see how that looks. And what I would see is SPX has got some funny way of the zones. So what I would do is come out to the weekly, and I would grab from here to here, and I would just see how it lines up on the daily, and I would adjust the zone according to that. So that would be my daily high. This would be my daily low. So I know overall on the daily time frame, long term, we closing below here. We're going to continue to go bearish. And from this level, I would look for a break and continuation trade to the downside in order to get active within this market from this point within the market. Yeah. And then on to the top side, since we were so, we would take it from here to here. That is the resistance on the daily time frame, the most current resistance. Breaking retest above there. So when we look, big time frame overall structure is bearish. Coming from the weekly and the daily, we've been bearish. Currently retracing or building bullish structure on the lower time frames. Yep. So that's all we need from the daily. On the 4 hour, oh, go back. Yeah, on the 4 hour, what I want to do is mark the 4 hour low. So that's originally what it would look like. And then once we looked left and saw what was going on there, we would bring it to here. And then we would stamp it 4 hour low and a 4 hour high. And then we go down to the 4 hour time frame and see how it lines up. So we got a 4 hour low that created the 4 hour high. And now, pretty big range, but what I want to see is the support necessarily on the 1 hour time frame that pushed you into the highs. I would take this one instead of this one because I know below this support here, price action is actually already into it. And if it broke below the support area here, the next one's right there. So might as well, take the lowest one. So this would be my 4 hour support or 1 hour support that I identified that would tell me if price action closed below this level here that we just outlined in white, then potentially we could be coming back to here or even retrace the 4 hour low that pushed us into the highs. So that's how I'll identify that. As far as the resistance on the 1 hour, yeah, pretty much you would be in the same exact area as a 4 hour resistance. So you'd be better off just to, look at it as it is what it is, or if you necessarily really wanted that thing on the chart, and that's what it would look like. And so here, what we would do is, so on a 1 hour, on the 4 hour, we're big bullish. On the 1 hour, we are starting to potentially close through some structures that pushed us into the high. So we definitely want to wait till price action reaches back to its ultimate support before determining if it's going to go back bullish or if it's going to break and continue to go back bearish. So what I would do is, potentially be framing a buy from down at this level or potentially taking buys as we close above to ultimately say we're coming back to retest the daily highs. So break continuation from here, trade from there, or if you know how to get active from right now here, then you could take the scalp from here, retesting the highs. If it fails, get out. If it continues, then you got your break and continuation trade from there. And then potential sales below this 1 hour level here. Oh, I don't know if I would take it as a breakout, but I'm gonna post it as a breakout, and then so what possible sales below, I would take this as not a break and continuation trade, but at this point a breakout trade to retest levels right back and down here, simply because I see the liquidity building here. And then even if this stays above and push and retest here, you have this level here. So price action ultimately will melt through there and then retest. And then, yeah, so I would take this as a breakout from the downside, even though price action ultimately bullish. We scalp, you know, pip and dip type situation. So overall, there's a lot of waiting to be done. Overall, there's a lot of waiting to be done. Waiting is the best policy. Waiting is what's really going to show you where the market is going based off of what you thought the market was going to do over the weekend. I could be completely wrong on all these analysis, but the thing that makes you better is you say, okay, well, if I thought we were going to buy above here, but it didn't, it only came and faked out. It only came up here and grabbed liquidity and then melted. Then when you go to the next week's analysis, you say, okay, well, when I had these zones analyzed this way, price action, I wanted to take a buy when we got back above here, but price only came up and grabbed liquidity and melted from up here. So then you just adjust the way you analyze your zones, and you put them in such a way that you know that last time this is what happened. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. So I know to watch out for that liquidity grab at this level. I want to see a break and a retest. That's why this is a continuation versus a breakout trade set up right here. So continuation buy, so we don't get faked out. We break and we come back to this level and we buy up. Down here, it's a different type of situation, different type of structure setups, different type of liquidity build. So we'd like to take a impulsive trade from this level and then go from there. Always manage risk. If you got any questions, drop them down in the comments. We like to read them comments. I do get active on the comments. If you go back to the recent videos where people have been commenting, I try to get back to you. If I see it early enough within a week, I will reply and then try to get back to you like that. But if not, then once I come back to the charts and actually see it, then I will give you an answer to whatever you may have asked. But thank you for watching. If you like the way I analyze, please smash that like button. That's for YouTube. They like when y'all hit that like button, so they like to see y'all watching this content and enjoying this content. If you don't, still smash that like button because that still gives them the same analysis. But either way, that's all I got for this one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.